Happy Sunday. I missed you guys. I was in it. I was about to say I was in Atlanta, but I live in Atlanta. I went back to my hometown for my best friend's wedding. And even though I had fun, it was killing me that I couldn't make any content. So I'm so happy to be back. And yeah, if you're an introvert, empath, or highly sensitive person, this message is for you. I'm not going to wait for people to come in the live because I always feel weird waiting. So if you miss anything, you can just watch the replay. But if you're an introvert or an empath or a highly sensitive person, or if you're all three, there is nothing wrong with you. You're not weird, you're just different. You're just unique, and you should embrace that. It is a gift. And just to make sure we're all on the same page, let's go over the definition of each of them. So, an introvert is a person that enjoys spending time alone. We love our alone time. And a lot of times, introverts get drained being around big groups of people, especially if it's for long periods of time. So, we can be in those environments, but very seldomly. And afterwards, we need time to ourselves to recharge. Also, when you're an introvert, you have a really big imagination. My imagination is crazy. That's the reason why I can spend a lot of time by myself and not be bored or not feel like, oh, I need people to hang out with. Oh, I'm just so bored. Like, I enjoy my me time. I love me some me. And if you're a highly sensitive person, you get overstimulated very easily. Similar to being an introvert, because introverts and highly sensitive people don't like to be overstimulated. If we have too much external stimuli going on, we feel overwhelmed. So some of these descriptions might overlap. But yes, if you're a highly sensitive person, it's not like you're sensitive in the sense where people can hurt your feelings. It's really more so in the sense of you can sense things that other people can't pick up on. You're very sensitive to people's energy. You're very sensitive to certain environments. And if you're an empath, you literally feel other people's feelings, literally to the point where you might feel the same amount of pain or suffering that that person is experiencing, even though you're not going through it. Also, when you're an empath, you are able to literally put yourself in other people's shoes, almost to the point where you can feel sick thinking about somebody else's stress or trauma or whatever they're going through. And I say all that to say it is not a curse, it's a blessing. Because 9 times out of 10, if you're an empath or an HSP or an introvert, you are spiritually gifted. The question is, are you using your gifts? Or are you just hiding away from the world because, oh, I'm an introvert. I don't like being around people. I'm a highly sensitive person. I'm an empath. That's why I'm always to myself. Like I said, if you're one of those or if you're all three, yes, we do love our alone time. However, you have to be real with yourself. Is the reason why you're hiding away truly just because you're an empath or an introvert or an HSP? Or is it because you have some unresolved trauma? You feel like people won't accept you. You feel like you're weird and you can't be around people. You feel like people will judge you. Don't use being an introvert or even an empath or an HSP as an excuse for why you isolate yourself and hide yourself away from the world. Because here's the thing, you might really be all those things, or you might be one of those things, but you have to be real with yourself. Am I using those things as an excuse when really I have social anxiety? I'm self conscious around being around people. You have to be real with yourself. And I say that because ever since I was a little kid, I've loved my alone time. I was always in my imagination, always in La La Land. And I thought it was something wrong with me because of the fact that I didn't feel the need to constantly be around people and hang out with people. People used to think it was so weird that I actually enjoyed spending time with myself. And because other people thought it was weird, I thought it was weird too. I thought it was something wrong with me. And a part of the reason why a part of the reason why I hid myself away was because I was insecure. I had a lot of self-esteem issues. I had a lot of unresolved trauma. And I didn't realize this until I got older. I always used to think, oh, I just have social anxiety. Oh, I'm just an introvert. Oh, I'm just, it's like, yeah, all those things are true, but you also need to heal. You also need to learn how to love yourself. So it's like, even though I enjoyed my alone time, deep down in my spirit, I loved my alone time. A part of me also wanted to be accepted. I wanted to fit into a clique or fit into a friend group, but I was always an outcast. I never felt like I fit in, even when I was a part of little cliques or friend groups or whatever. I always felt like the oddball. And I wanted people to accept me so much. So I would try to conform to how I thought people wanted me to be. And that's part of the reason why when I got older, I started drinking a lot to help with my social anxiety and me being an introvert and me being an empath. Even though at the time, I didn't even know I was any of those things. I didn't know anything about any of those terms. I just knew there was something different about me. So, on one hand, I enjoyed my alone time. I loved being by myself because I would be in my own little world. But on the other hand, I'm like, this is weird. Like, I shouldn't spend this much time by myself. Like, I need friends. I need more friends. I need a group of people that I can hang out with all the time. And the reason why I never got that, even though I do have some really amazing friends, three best friends, and we're not even in a clique. Like, we're all like separate. I'm like best friends with them all separately, and we have our own little unique relationships. But I don't belong in no clique or group of friends that I hang out with on a regular, and I'm fine with that. But the reason why I used to not be fine with it was because I didn't love myself. Let's start there. I didn't love myself. And it's because I didn't know myself and I didn't accept myself. So I felt like it was something wrong with me. So when I got older, I used to drink in order to feel comfortable just being around people. I used to force myself to go in environments with loud music, even though I like music because I like to dance, but like super loud music and bright lights, and it's a bunch of people and noise, and it's a lot going on. Even though deep down in my spirit, I didn't feel comfortable being in those environments, I felt like it was something wrong with me because I didn't. So I would be like, okay, let me drink a lot, let me get drunk, because then I'll have that liquid courage. So I would go into these environments and I would conform. I would conform to what everybody else was doing because I wanted to fit in, not realizing, Kyla, the fact that you're unique, that is an honor. That is a gift that God gave you, your uniqueness. And like I said, if you're an empath, introvert, highly sensitive person, or all three like me, you are a very special person. No disrespect to the people who are extroverted and constantly want to hang out with people. They don't know how to be by themselves. It's no disrespect to those people or people who aren't empathetic or people who aren't really that sensitive and can't really read people's energy or pick up on things. It's no disrespect to them. But this video isn't for you. So, like I said, if you're one or all three of those things, you are a very special person. You are very unique. And yes, a part of being an introvert is spending a lot of time by yourself, and there's nothing wrong with that. However, you do have to push yourself out of your comfort zone sometimes in order to connect with other humans, in order to connect with other humans, because life is about human connection. If you're constantly just cooped up in the house See, that's the thing. I'm different than the average introvert because I'm an outgoing introvert. I like to be by myself. I love spending time by myself, but I don't like to just be cooped up in the house. I get cabin fever if I'm just stuck in the house all day. The only time I can be in the house all day is if I'm working on something. If I'm in my little world, if I'm in my little la la land, because that's the thing. Introverts have a very rich inner life. Like I said, we have a very big imagination. But that's the only time I can be cooped up in the house is if I'm in my zone. But if not, I want to be outside. But when I say outside, I don't mean bars, I don't mean clubs, but just going out to eat by myself, just going to a park and walking around by myself and listening to an audiobook in one of my earphones. I like to be around people. That's why I'm like, I'm not the average introvert because I like being outside. I like to be around people, but I like to be around people by myself. But anyways, that's beside the point. What was I saying? Damn, I lost my train of thought. Train of thought, come back. Choo choo, choo choo. I like being by myself. Oh man, I was flowing, and then I just was like, what am I saying next? But anyways, I used to force myself to go in environments that I wasn't really comfortable in. If you have to get drunk in order to be in a certain environment or to be around certain people, you probably shouldn't be around those people and you probably shouldn't be in that environment. Or you can learn to center yourself and ground yourself to where you can be in those environments every once in a while and not feel overwhelmed and not feel anxious and not feel like it's too much. But you have to be real with yourself. Is the fact that I'm constantly cooped up in the house and I don't want to be around people, I just want to be by myself, is it truly just because I'm an introvert? Is it truly just because I'm an HSP, I'm an empath? Or is it because I got some insecurities? I got some self esteem issues. I need to heal. I haven't really learned to love and accept and embrace myself. So, yeah, that's something to think about. And here's the thing, you might feel like you being any of those things, being one of those three things, or like I said, if you're all three, you might feel like it's a curse. But it's not a curse because the world needs people who are observant, people who can pick up on things. And let's say you're an extrovert. 9 times out of 10, you ain't really going to be observant. You're really not going to be able to pick up on people's energy. You're not going to really be able to read people because you're constantly distracting yourself. You constantly are distracted. You constantly got to hang out with people. You constantly got to have the TV on and music playing and a bunch of things going on. So it's like I said, I'm not trying to toot our horns. I'm not trying to toot our horns, but we are very special and gifted people. And you have to do the work on yourself. If you are not an evolved empath, if you are not an evolved, highly sensitive person, and if you're not a balanced introvert, you are doing the world a disservice because you're not showing up as your full self. And like I said, 9 times out of 10, you cooped up in the house, isolating yourself from everybody. God does not want you to be like that. He did not give you those traits. He did not give you those attributes. He did not give you those gifts for you to just keep them all to yourself. That's selfish. But yeah, like I said, I used to drink and I used to feel like it was something wrong with me that I didn't really want to be in these environments. And I felt like I had to be under the influence just to cope. But then I realized, Kyla, you're an empath. Kyla, you're a highly sensitive person. Kyla, you're an introvert. And guess what? There's nothing wrong with that. You're actually very unique and special because most people do not possess all three of those traits or even one of them. The average person does not possess those traits. So it's like, instead of trying to fit in and conform, why don't you just be who God called you to be? Why don't you just be yourself? And the people who are going to love it and appreciate it, that's the people that you're there for. The people who judge you and think you're weird, like, oh, you like to spend a lot of time by yourself. Like, you go places by yourself. Oh, like, how can you pick up on that person's energy? You didn't even really say much to them. You don't even really know them. It's like, those people who just don't get it and don't understand, those are not your people. Don't try to conform to fit in with those people, because respectfully, most of those people are lost in the sauce. So you have to get to a point where you love yourself, and instead of looking at your gifts as a curse, you realize God made you this way for a reason, for a good reason. Because I'm not going to lie, I used to feel like being an empath was a curse. Because when I was a kid, I would literally watch these Feed the Children commercials. I don't know if y'all remember those commercials. Just passing by, and I love your energy. Aw, thank you. I am mentally and physically below average. Nobody wants nobody wants to be something below average. Well, you have all the power to change that, sweetie. But yes, hi everybody. I'll try to read the comments at the end because I don't want to get distracted. But ooh, what was I gonna say? I lost my train of thought. Train of thought, come back. Choo choo, choo choo, choo choo. What was I saying, guys? Oh my god. I'm an introvert, empath, blah blah blah. Darn, I lost my train of thought, man, and I really want to make sure I finish it because I was going somewhere with my point. But yeah, I used to feel like it was something wrong with me because I was introverted, and I would see, this is why I don't be reading the comments, because I completely lost my train of thought and what I was about to say. But freak. Dang, I hope it comes back to me, y'all. Be patient, please be patient. Lord Jesus, please, please help me remember, Lord Jesus, please help me. Please help me. Long story short, the reason why I felt like it was a curse. Oh, I was talking about, oh my goodness, I finally remember. Thank you so much for being patient with me, y'all. I finally remember. I used to be watching them Feed the Children commercials when I was a kid, and I would be crying my eyes out like, no, that's not fair. Like, why are they starving? Why are they homeless? Like, this is not fair. This is not right. And I would literally be crying. I would literally feel sick. Even the animal commercials with the dogs and the cats in the shelters and stuff, I would be crying. I would be hysterical, like, this isn't right, because I would literally be able to put myself in that creature's position, in that creature's shoes. And so I used to feel like it was a curse, because I'm like, it's something wrong with me. Like, I'm too sensitive. Like, why is it that, like, if somebody's telling me something they're going through, like, I cry so easily and I literally feel what they're feeling, even though I'm not going through it. And then I realized, Kyla, that is a gift, because number one, the fact that I'm an empath, I can pick up on things that the average person can't pick up on. I can sense things the average person cannot pick up on. Really, this applies to being all three of those things. And me being able to have such strong discernment and be able to read people and be able to pick up on energies, that has saved my life in some instances. Like, when I was a kid, I was almost kidnapped. And even as a little kid, I was always intuitive. I could always sense things and pick up on people's energy. I was outside playing with my cousin, and it was a group of guys that pulled up in a van. And back then, this was back in the 90s, because I was born in 93. So I want to say this was probably like 1999. And I was playing outside with my cousin, and these group of guys pulled up in a van. And back in the 90s, Parents would always tell you, don't talk to strangers. If somebody offers you candy, run, because they're not trying to give you some candy, they trying to kidnap you. So these dudes pull up beside me in this van. I'm playing outside with my cousin. My cousin, he's in his own little world. He's not paying attention. He doesn't sense the danger. But I sensed it as soon as they pulled up beside us, beside like the sidewalk. So one of them rolls down the window and he was like, "Hey, little girl, you want some candy?" And I was quiet. I didn't say anything. I just shook my head. No, I was like, because I knew, I'm like, these dudes ain't just trying to give me candy. Like, I sense danger. So the dude asked me again. He was like, "You don't want no candy?" And I was like, so he opens the door. He opens the door. He gets out like he's attempting to like grab me. I immediately start running. I literally say, "Run." And my cousin, he starts running with me, having no idea why we're running. He just being a little kid. Like, if you a little kid playing and somebody you see somebody else running or you hear somebody say run, you gonna run with them. So I'm telling him, like, I'm just saying run, and we start running. I know that if these dudes catch up to us, maybe even just me, because like I said, they wasn't paying attention to my cousin. But if these dudes get a hold of us or me, that's it. Like I'm gonna be on one of the milk cartons saying, "Have you seen Kyla? Have you seen this little girl?" So we're running behind these houses, running through people's yards. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't even know if they started driving after us or not, because I was gone. I was like, I ran for my life. But afterwards, we got back to the house and we didn't see anybody. And the coast was clear. So yeah, that is just one of many instances throughout my life where me being an empath, me being a highly sensitive person, has came in handy and literally saved my life. Or like it's so many things. Honestly, I could talk about this subject probably for like 2 hours, but I'm not gonna be on live that long. I want to make sure I wrap it up soon. But I also want to make sure I say everything that the Lord wants me to say. Um, but give me 1 second. Whew, I need to take a little 1 minute break because I need some water. Yes, the starving kids in Africa. By the way, that is low key fucked up because they had me thinking everybody in Africa was just poor and starving, and all of Africa was just like the Feed the Children commercials. That is so terrible. Ooh, shout out to my people. Shout out to my Africans. Ooh, let me do a little stretch. Ooh, sorry, y'all. Ooh, oh, Lord Jesus, I've been preaching and teaching. But yeah. So I would have people throughout my life who would make me feel like it was something wrong with me, make me feel like I was weird, and that's part of the reason why I would be like, oh, I need more friends. Like I need to hang out with people. But now, because I've healed and because I truly love myself, and because I realize, oh, you're an empath. Oh, you're an introvert. Oh, you're a highly sensitive person. When I was a kid, when I was younger, even when I was in my early 20s, I didn't find out these things probably until the last few years. I didn't know I was an introvert or an empath or an HSP. I didn't know shit about any of that. So that also helped was me learning who I am and me realizing like, oh, okay, so this is why I am the way I am. It's nothing wrong with me. I'm not weird. I'm actually unique. I'm actually pretty cool. um, Me learning things about myself and me healing and me honestly getting closer to God, and seeing myself the way that God sees me. That helped me embrace who I really am too and stop trying to conform and be like everybody else. I don't even drink nearly as much as I used to. I only drink occasionally. And I'm able to go into social settings and not feel self conscious or not feel like, oh, I need a drink, because I've learned to center myself and ground myself. So that's another piece of advice I want to give you. Learn to center yourself and ground yourself. And one of the ways that you do that is with meditation. Another way that you do that is by just talking to God, praying, asking God to give you strength, asking God to give you courage, asking God to give you, I said counseling, asking God to give you confidence, asking God to give you help. Praying and meditating constantly, that will help you to center yourself, and it'll help you to be balanced, to where yes, you can still be an introvert and go out from time to time and be around people. Yes, you can be a highly sensitive person and be in certain environments that might overstimulate you if you're in them too much, but here and there you can handle it without feeling like, oh, I'm overwhelmed. And even when it comes to being an empath, getting to a point where you can have empathy for a person, but after you're done talking to that person, you don't dwell on their situation. You don't keep worrying and like just constantly worrying and being anxious and stressed out about somebody else's suffering or suffering and pain. When you're in that moment with them, you give them empathy, you give them love, you give them compassion. But afterwards, you say a prayer, you say a prayer for the person, and then you detach. Once you get to a point where you're centered and grounded and balanced, being an empath, being an introvert, being a highly sensitive person will, it'll feel like a blessing. It won't feel like such a curse. It'll feel like a gift. It'll feel like you'll feel special. Like, oh, God, you made me so special. Like, man, like, why'd you make me so unique? You'll start to look at it that way instead of looking at it like, oh, I'm an outcast. Something's wrong with me. Nobody will accept me. I can't be myself. Respectfully, F those people. If anybody try to make you feel like you're weird or something wrong with you, them is not your people. Not to demonize those people because they're just ignorant. But don't conform to please them. Be yourself. Because being yourself, that's going to make you feel free. That's going to make you feel alive. Be who God created you to be. Don't try to be like nobody else. Don't conform to how society thinks you should be. Be yourself. Be who God called you to be. And the people who love it, those are your people. And the people who hate it or they don't understand it, them it's not your people. They don't exist. They do not exist. So, yes, that was the message for today. Hopefully, I said everything that I needed to say. And yeah, I love you guys. If you need guidance, if you need coaching, if you need help healing, if you need help shifting your mindset, I would love to work with you. My website will be in the description box after this live, or you can just go to www.coachwithkai.com. I would love to work with you. I would love to help you and talk to you one on one. But if not, I enjoy doing these videos for you. And yeah, I love you guys, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.